Good day. Welcome to our new topic, the creative individual. Before we start with our main topic, let me articulate my observations on the dynamisms of a master into its apprentice learning from a particular art experience. We tend to compare ourselves with the master for what is popular and what is accepted in the mainstream. A master should not compete with an amateur. The amateur learns from the master, but apprentice was born in a different time. The approach will be different, and new technique arise, and new technology arise. But other masters don't like to share secrets, so amateur will have to discover on its own. But sometimes it will take time, and the amateur will either survive by following the master or eventually leave the master. The amateur apprentice gain more through learning the tradition and at the same time doing its own. And the fate, the shift will either one generation to the next and be the same with the master. Yet, if master dies, tradition stays and dies with the master. Know-how is passed on to the amateur apprentice. But if the apprentice will only cater the same cultivated audience, it will end up the same. It will be the same cycle. Unless this new master will study the new platform, the new space, the new arena. And even if your audience shrinks, the practice dies. Unless you cultivate your own audience, then you adapt, then you evolve, and then you survive. Now, there's a notion that artist is born, but I also do believe in the saying that artist is not just born, but they are created, they are nurtured, they are developed, and they're inspired. They are actually a phenomenon in a certain event of the society or the community or the life itself of the person, the creative person. So it it will boil down into the concept that there's always an amateur in the artist. There's always an amateur in the field of the singing or the singer. There's always an amateur dancer. Everyone starts from the beginning, and who will determine that you're an artist or not? And you can affirm, you can confirm, you can push, you can submit, you can even stress that you can even affirm that you're an artist. But sometimes the one who will determine this definition, this conviction that you're an artist is not actually saying it, telling it, or showing it, but it is your work that will determine that you are an artist in this particular field. This particular topic of ours is this is just my observation as a practicing artist for almost since 1998 when I decided to become an artist. So no, this is not a perfect picture of the art field, but well, as of now, this is how I look at the interplay of the institutions, the individuals in the art community or in the art world. In the middle, you can see the institution, that is the National Commission for Culture in the Arts. Under that, there are so many agencies also, National Museum, National Library, or it can be as a state, this under, but there are also people behind that. There are also individuals who are also institutions that, even though they're private, they're individual, but they have control, they have influences in our society. Okay. Then the outer circle is the audience. The audience is not only the ordinary person or the educated or the art enthusiasts, but even artists themselves, they're also audience of their own work. If you notice that after your own work, you're very happy, uh, you have this feeling of fulfillment after a shorter period of time that you produce the artwork, that you forgot yourself. Then after a while, you leave your artwork and put this distance, allowing you to enjoy also the fruits of your labor. Okay. The first circle here is the traditional arts. What I put there, but also contemporary, because this art practice is an a very old practice, but still we adapted, we learn, we passed down from parents to the children, the grandchildren. Best example for that is the kakanin, the culinary arts, or the local knowledge in medicine, even in food preparation and preservation. The second circle, if you notice, there's inconsistencies in the circle, so I still have to refine this. The artisans or the craftsmen, these are labor-based, this is hardware. Our society is a capitalist, or is, I mean, industrialist, agricultural. So it's a reality that we have workforce. So some individuals who are not able to reach a level of education, somehow they're forced to work and use their body. Even how creative and they have talents, but somehow they left that, to focus on livelihood, the bread and butter, to feed the family. But if they were given the chance, if they're given the chance to work either in a better place, in a better institution or organization or office, probably they will also spend time to do their own creativity. The next one is the mainstream, the artist, technical support, software. These are actually individuals that they didn't finish any fine arts education, but their skill supports the artistry, the art industry, the tourism, the festivals, uh, any form of arts in the business sector or in the community. They also support the next circle, which is actually the fine arts graduate, the fine artists. These are actually school artists or architects or designers. There are, though there are also practicing artists that are non-fine arts graduate, but some started as hobbies, but they are very serious with their art. Some are started as an engineering or architectural practice, but eventually they lead to a different path, of art creation. The next one is the patron, the collector, the gallery owners, at the same time businessman, the curators. These are the curators are some are also a non-government. It's a solo individual entity, or they're also attached to an organization or an institution, and they're also powerful in this particular art field because they help, polish the idea. They take good care of the vision of the artist, and the curator are the ones who actually bridge, from the world of the artist into the world of the audience. And they help us polish things, they help us purify things. The next one is the media, the business sector. This has to do with reproduction, enterprise, mass production, on advertising, more on the application. So, and we have the underground. The underground are anti-institutions. Some are not these are probably leftists, rightists, or you don't know. Uh, because it's also ironic because the underground are also using materials from the capitalists. So we can add more, we can interchange these. You can use triangle, you can use square with arrows and direct line. But these are overlapping arches. It is a continuous negotiation. Even actually, it's an overlap of even how big, how powerful, how dynamic the art field is. But you have your own space there, even though you're mobile or you're just an artist selling crafts in the streets. But these are, some of them are educated, they are graduates, but they decided to to pursue a certain lifestyle, or a conviction as an artist, free from the dictates of the institutions. The next slide here is also a representation, the flow from artist idea into the audience. We start here from the artist, the non-functional or the fine arts, or I also consider there the hybrid, because there are artists who are multidisciplinary or crossover. They shift from, and they also go beyond the seven traditional arts into a new art form, such as performance art. Some artists are already established. They already have this art market. They already have these collectors or art patrons. We have this gallery as collector and also help resell the work. They are collectors and at the same time buyer, and for personal use in private collection. Some are for institution. From the artist, there's an arrow going to the traditional artist, because especially in the Philippines, we grew up living with the tri people, the Moro, the cultural communities, and the Christians. So you tend to weave and experience more than three different multicultural practices, and at the same time, um, uh, yes, then this traditional artist also produces a hybrid artist for those who can work within the mainstream and go directly to the audience. The artist also works with artisans, producing technical support, and so does artisan also help. They go hand in hand, because, for example, in the theater production, you really need this help, from the artisans. And mentally, for those who have no platform, no support, you already have this new stage, the new social, I mean, platform, the social media, to help you for your popularity, even in the less support, less, I mean, with the lack of financial resources and towards the audience. So the user here also influences, a few individuals to become an artist, or to create a new audience or a birth of new artists. It goes back also to the art market. Now here, let us now see the difference between the two. The artist is the example for that is the painter, dancer, singer, instrumentalist. But it was only, I think, it's the 19th century that the artist is now free from the dictates of the church, or from a patron or an institution. So they are not free to even provide or give their own definition of what art is. So the artists that I'm referring for are working on works that are leap of imagination. Sometimes the process becomes an adventure. For example, like the work of Alfred Galvez here. Um, this is a work of an artist. If it is done by a painter, but a copy, yes, they can also do that. But the concept itself, from getting the soul of the subject into an artwork, uh, elevating it, providing a life of its own. And how would the artist able to, from the pigment, from the white canvas, and drawing out and transforming the plane into an illusion of image. So sometimes the technique is a means to an end, even though he's using mixed media here. So the artisan like carver, tailor, they also the same with the artists. They have the same skill, the same ability, you know, but they follow the dictates of the designer or the design, and they focus more on the manipulation of the material. But they are not free to innovate, and they are copies and using technique as an in itself. For example, a chair is a chair. I experienced it before in Digos Mati. We studied the pottery. Imagine in a day they can produce as hundreds, and they can actually uh, estimate the weight of the needed mixture to create one pot. And everything is the same: the size, the thickness, the diameter, the roundness, uh, because they have done this for too long. They're doing this every day. And well, on us as an artist, we are also interested with the tradition, but we don't want to compete with the pottery, because our interest was to understand the local art form or the traditional art form from Digos Mati, but they're using the mixture as a sculpture. So you see, um, eventually, because of we're creating sculpture heads, and these are actually decorative works. At first, they are not very serious with our attempts. We became friends with the local potters, but eventually, uh, people are noticing this. Um, there are individuals in the media, art enthusiasts and art supporters who was able to notice the works that we produce. So then eventually, to make the long story short, they were and somebody introduced to them that a pot creating or imitating the human anatomy, the belly and the form of the clay or the pot. So you see, this is how this is the dynamism of becoming an artist and artisan. But is it possible that an artist becomes an artisan or artisan becoming an artist? Yes, it's possible. Here in the Philippines, artists are also working as a furniture maker. Or then they would allot budget for their art for art's sake. Okay. So becoming an artist or artisan both undergoes process, not magical. So here is a work of Glenn Remolador, um, using water-based paint, and the same with the work of uh, Frank Lloyd, um, using also a water-based material. So they started with sketching, and these artists are practicing for a longer period. It's more than 3 years practicing artists. Okay. Mm. And the process, this is typical process, art making that or process that all started with the subject, the topic, subject, the theme. And the second part is the difficult part, because it's the medium manipulation. It is where you meet the medium. Literally, this is the mounting. And when the work is done, it's the fulfillment, exhibition, satisfaction, higher cost. Some are actually not entirely exhibiting to the public. Some are just producing few works, but people already, collectors are already buying this one. And some are busy in teaching also. So help mentoring their fine arts students. So some actually they had their first solo exhibit in the later years. So it is also known as the pre-production, peri-production, and the post-production in film or in theater. So here is a picture of the process, no, of interaction, the trainings. So all you can see is a 5-minute presentation, a song, a dance, or a play, 45 minutes. But we don't know, how far have they invested in terms of time, energy, resources, just to come up with a particular production. So art process is not essentially a natural process. It is an invention. It is an organization. It is actually, it can be deconstruction, construction, it can be borrowing, it can be, it's a trial and error at the same time. Even if you have undergone, or I mean, yeah, fine art school, yes, it can help you organize things, but in the real world, if you there are commissions that are unfamiliar to you, it will be challenging also. And it is through art process that you develop this discipline. Uh, in this, from process, we have the art making. So you can see here, we have Brando Cedeño doing, this is a work in progress. These are over life size religious works. So these are actually made of, he started from doing frame, skeleton, the armature, then the started with clay, then eventually applying the mixture, like using epoxy or the fiberglass. Here's being continuous process, one subject, but in various styles. Imagine a tricycle in various attempts. So it's always an exploration. So the medium refers to the material, or which means, or the means which the artist uses to objectify his feeling or thought. So, example here, we have Jung Tangida in the back. This is his work, Cristo, using driftwood, while Brando Cedeño using fiberglass. Here we have technique refers to the artist's ability and knowledge or technical know-how in manipulating the medium. So according to Ariola, technique is the manner in which the artist controls the medium to achieve desired effect. Look at the work of Jack Bueno. This is fiberglass and reinforced resin, but on flat. But Pink does be using epoxy, using styrofoam. He's actually doing repurposing material. So this is a sculpture, a 3D sculpture, big. Then technique is the uh, is disciplining of one's energies through action in order to free the energy at any desired. Is the highest possible physical and spiritual form. That's according to Mercy Cunningham. So here, this is a self-portrait exhibition organized by Art Portal. But look at the approaches. One idea, but different way of presenting the subject. Or some are literal, some are abstraction, some are figurative, some are in a different form. Technique, in terms of characteristics, even in the same medium, artists differ from each other. Using acrylic, using also acrylic, but look at the approach. This is polished. This is somewhat polished yet played with texture. So the artist may employ different techniques at another time for another purpose. So it's the use of technique that artists differ from the craftsman, but both requires technical competence. So medium in art, you have painting, pigment, mixed media, you have watercolor, and drawing, you have the charcoal, the print, ink, pigment, literature, you have the words, sculpture, there are so many options from wood to fruits, film, you have the shot, photography, you have shot also, the dance, body, theater, architecture, music. So, but other artists, like performance artists, they are now mixing one medium and another medium. Sculpture they also included sound. Some are paintings including its sounds. Even included technology uh, to even put some LED or a video aside from the real painting. And here we have look at the dynamism, no? By looking to, these are assemblage, these are sculpture, these are masks. Si Ariel Fuentes is a tattoo artist and a mural art. He do murals also, and he also do mixed media. Jin Kayas also have a different way of interpreting intermedia. Yeah, Bunda, no? It's a great work. You have the masks, some are made of paper, some are made of metal, some are actually made of plastic or resin. Here, Boots Tumlao is using digital art. Arnel Villegas is using the photography. Joaquin's using oil. Si um, Bong Perez is using acrylic. Um, Here, you have the work of Jun Kayas using tarpaulin with acrylic paint on it. And I also may work here, Babae Mixed Media on Jutsak. So, and the material has its own characteristics, so it requires a different skill, or for it requires also creativity from the artist, and how you're going to manipulate it, how you're going to control it. So at the end of this, what are the hindrances or obstacles of the artist or becoming creative? Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. So you can blame somebody for that, and probably we have experienced when we were a child that our at a younger age we were not appreciated, not even provided with materials. Or some would say that you can never earn money from artistry. Now, to be able to explore about this creativity or the creative individual, uh, I will let you explore. So kindly do an experimentation for one day. You take away a particular intelligence or a sense. Example, you have no voice, so you will not talk the whole day. So you will not inform your parents or your family members unless if you reach up, for example, you don't want to start at 8 o'clock, you end up at 8 o'clock. Unless if you can no longer do it. For example, I have a student before, he bandaged his hand, but he realized when he go to the bathroom that how gonna so he have to unfold again this, take away the uh, what is this support, the bandage. So you have to do your own daily chores and activities without that particular sense. So then write a journal about it, just bulleted. And after that, you can do a level up activity. So after next hour discussion, you focus now on a certain creative intelligence or skill and explore this skill or expression in 21 days, because there's a belief that, or a practice that you can actually change yourself if you want to pursue a certain discipline. So you have to undergo this repetition, this habit within 21 days. So we have all the time. Okay, so thank you very much. So this is our topic is all about the creative individual. So the creative individual um, does not only refers to the artist or the artisan, but anybody involved in creativity that applies craftsmanship, that requires discipline, that requires the ability to control an object, a medium, a tool, or an object. Even body, human being. So nowadays, we are going beyond the definitions of creativity. To the extent they are now moving into mobility, they're going into nationhood, nation building, going into therapy. So they're no longer end on the object, but they go beyond the object. So the art here now is becoming process oriented, not just the output. Well, anybody can afford that, but the buyer can also burn that anytime if they have the money. So what is left behind is the picture of your work or the narrative or the story. So somehow nowadays there's a fluctuating valuing of what is the creative, who are the creative, and what are the requirements now. So I remember a Chinese proverb that uh, at age 5, a child can be brilliant. At age 10, a child can be genius. But at age 21, you are just an ordinary person. What do you think is the relevance of that anecdote? So, good luck, and I hope you enjoy this exploration